Kurt Busch has joined us. He'll be driving the number 41 Haas Automation, America's Machine Tool Chevrolet, in Sunday's race here at Charlotte. Kurt certainly been back and forth a lot, doing a lot of different things with your racing right now. Just talk about in 30 words or less how everything's going, I guess.
You know, it's good to be at the NASCAR track today and to jump into Sprint Cup practice and just to give credit and acknowledgement and the time back to the 600 portion of all of this. You know, Indy is obviously exciting and new and different, and it starts earlier in the month, of course, as far as preparations. And so, I was on the plane ride back, and I'm like, I'm going to be in my Cup car and be back in the comfort zone and go after practice on Thursday, and that's going to feel fun. And so I'm really excited about getting in the car today and shaking down the car, making laps, and then trying to tailor the setup around finding the right comfort zone that we'll need for a full 600 miles.
Okay, we'll take as many questions as time allows. Marty Smith, Alan Cabana, Brian Nelson. Let's move quickly. We'll ask that you ask just one question, please.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Kurt, now that you have context, you've practiced an open wheel car, you have qualified an open wheel car. So what is describe the challenge now that you have that context of how that thing performs, and of course you have the logistics involved as well.
I hope that there's still more to learn and more to experience, and there will be. It will be on Sunday. It's still difficult to describe the differences between the two. I've had to keep them very separate, and I hope, if I have the chance to come and see you guys on Friday in Dover after Memorial Day weekend, I'll have a better explanation. But just like walking through the garage today, it takes 20 minutes for me to go sign in, and it's not because of fans and autographs, even though they're there as well. It's the other crew chiefs and the other drivers asking about it, wanting to know the differences and to live some of the experience with me. Like Todd Barrier stopped me, and then a guy, Max Pappas, he was very curious on the world that he's been in and come from, and it's just so exciting to talk about it. It's just still hard to put it all into words. But the IndyCar demands a lot of respect, and you're on that razor blade edge when you're out there driving, and everything's very precise. It's almost like being a surgeon. And when you're out there by yourself, trying to qualify at 230 miles per hour, it's different than what it is in the draft, in the dirty air. They call it a tow. When you're in the tow up there and following other guys around in the groove, for race pace, it's not just wide open all the way around like some people would think. And when I made the mistake on Monday, it was because I just started to tell myself, settle in. Get into this 500-mile rhythm. Know that you have 600 miles later on. It was the setup that I had from the previous Thursday where I was the most comfortable in drafting practice. And I made some adjustments inside the car. I didn't stay on top of the turns 1 and 2. The south end of the track is different than the north end of the track there. The wind angle was at the most different, awkward angle that I've had during the whole month of May. And turn 2 bit me. And I'm glad that I experienced it. I mean, I might sound stupid by saying that, I'm glad I wrecked it 220 miles an hour. But if I didn't put myself in that position, I would have done that on Sunday, possibly 50 laps into the race. And that's how you have to advance through life, is to learn from your mistakes. And so it was a mistake that I wholeheartedly put myself in, and it's because I just started to feel comfortable. I just let my guard down a little bit, and that IndyCar jumped up and bit me. When I came here and ran the All-Star race on Saturday night, jumped in there cold turkey for qualifying, coming down pit road at 150 miles an hour. I mean, that's a blast. There will never be another day that I came into so many things unprepared. And when I got through with the qualifying lap down here, I'm like, man, I'm a fish out of water. I'm making way too many wheel movements, throttle inputs, steering inputs. I'm just all over the place. I got to let the stock car do its normal flow. You have to let the car move before you react to it. In IndyCar, you can react to it right away. So it's very precise with the Indy car. A stock car, you have to let it flow.
Brian right here, Brian Nelson, and then David Caravello.
Brian Nelson with MRN. Kurt, I heard a comment where you were talking in general terms about the physicality being different, just the demands on your body and how you had to train for this IndyCar experience. So, I mean, can you get into specifics on that and how the demands of an IndyCar versus a stock car require you to train differently?
Well, it's not an Indy car versus a stock car. It's just being prepared for 1,100 miles. Upper body strength is important in both. Core strength is what I've worked on these last 6 months. It's to be able to use your core to not overexert your arms or to have your legs cramp up. And it's to be as prepared as you can be for the marathon portion of this. So the demands from driving both cars are the same on the body. It's just I have to be ready to do 1,100 miles. And so running to the gym, keeping my heart rate elevated while I'm there, doing martial arts type of activity in a boot camp style formula to whereas it keeps your heart rate up for that full hour and then run back home from the gym. And this week it's been great to add in the full nutrition portion of the program to come in on the first part of the week with low carbs and maintaining the protein, but then it'll start tomorrow night with loading up on carbs and almost being at the big fighter weight that you would expect to see a guy with the extra weight, just so that I know that I'm going to burn all that off on Sunday.
Let's go to David Caravello and then to Kelly here on the front row.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. Kurt, you referenced the curiosity in the garage over this double attempt. I mean, if it goes well on Sunday, do you think other guys might be tempted to maybe give it a shot one day?
I'm a racer. Tony Stewart's a racer. Robbie Gordon's a racer. John Andretti's a racer. This is a true test of what your commitment level is on being a racer. There's so many practices, back and forth, the travel, the logistics. The fun meter's pegged right now. I'm having a blast doing it. You just have to know it comes with a lot of hard work. And I encourage others to try it out. At the end of the day, though, motorsports to me is my family. It's my home. And the NASCAR side, I've been here 15 years. And I always open the USA Today or click on different websites for Memorial Day weekend, and it's about our military and the red, white, and blue all the time. But Memorial Day weekend is a time for motorsports to shine, and it starts with Monaco, it goes through Indy, and it ends here in Charlotte. I'm doing this for a lot of different reasons, but at the end of the day, I think motorsports can use the shot in the arm to go, you know what, this is a guy that's never been in an Indy car. We want to watch that race, and then we want to follow him to Charlotte to see what he can do down there running that full 600 miles.
Let's go to Mike Solardi, Alan Cabana, and then Kelly.
Kurt, Mike Solardi, Time Warner Cable News. You knew going into the IndyCar endeavor it would be a big undertaking. Is it bigger than you thought it would be, or is it about as big as you thought it would be? I mean, because we've watched kind of you go through the certification and the training and all that stuff, and then your practices and qualifying. Is it bigger, or have you handled it as best as possible? Or I mean, how would you assess this process to this point?
Well, it's a good question. It's a different discipline of motorsport, and it's a tough car to drive, just like a Sprint Cup car is tough to drive. It hasn't been overwhelming, no, but at the same time, each day in the Indy car, I'm a student, and I'm learning. And how many times have we all told ourselves, if I know now what I could have known then, or if I said that right, I don't know. The way to approach this is to have fun. I have zero IndyCar experience, and I'm trying to elevate my game over there to be competitive. And yes, it's difficult. Those guys are good at what they do. I had a shot at the Fast 9, but that's when you have a fast car to do that with. And the Andretti Autosport guys have prepared a beautiful car for me to drive up there. My rookie orientation car was different than the one that I qualified, and now I'll have a different one in the race. It shows the level of craftsmanship that the IndyCar guys can put into their cars, and then the level of ability of their drivers. I'm sitting on the fourth row And that fourth row ended up with a ton of credentials because we were all the guys that didn't make the final 9. And it's Montoya, it's Scott Dixon, and myself. That's all the way to 12th place. And the names can go on and on up there on who's in that field. So I'm just one guy, though, out of 33 racing up there, and I'm one guy down here racing against 43. It's just been a blast to be able to do this in my career and to say, you know, at 35 years old, I'm at the peak. I'm feeling great about the Cup car. We've got a solid Stewart-Haas team, and I'll be back next week, and it'll be back to normal of running Dover, Pocono, Michigan, Sonoma, and on with the rest of them.
We got two left, 2 quick ones here too, please. Kelly and then Hill. Sorry, we couldn't get there, buddy.
Kelly Kramer from Popular Speed. Kurt, you mentioned the fun meter is pegged, but May has been like a tale of 2 stories for you in terms of what you've been able to do in IndyCar and what's been going on in the Cup car. Has the fun and success that you've had at Indy kind of helped take your mind off the struggles a little bit of the Cup car?
No, I've been there right along with the Cup guys. I actually surprised them when we had a rain out up in Indy and came to the shop on a Wednesday last week. And I could see in everybody's eyes that they were startled that I was there, and at the same time they were relieved because they know that we have some work to do. And I just wanted to show them my commitment. My commitment is here on the NASCAR side, and I'm excited about getting in the car today to make laps and to work on getting this 41 Haas Automation Chevy stronger and faster.
Final question, Hill.
Hi, Kurt. Hill Overton, WIXC Radio. You've gone fast in stock cars over 200 miles an hour at various tracks. You get a various sensation of speed from one track versus another. Now you've gone over 230 miles an hour in an open cockpit Indy car. What's the difference, and which track or which car feels fastest to you?
That's a very detailed question because there's so many ways to explain it, and so many different people will experience things that think that are faster in one aspect versus another. Ask Jimmy Johnson. I talked to him and I told him, Bristol's one of my favorite tracks. That track, it's like it's in slow-mo when I'm out there. He goes, really? That place, it feels like I'm going 200 miles an hour. I said, well, that's what it feels like for me at Charlotte, and you think Charlotte, and he told me it's slow for him. There's different drivers that have their comfort level at certain tracks and in certain forms of motorsport. It'd be like you and your buddies riding a roller coaster. One guy's going to think it's extremely fast, and the other guy's going to go, no, it wasn't so bad, I'm ready for more. Speed, it obviously shows up when you're doing something wrong. And when I wrecked the other day in the Indy car, that extra 20 miles an hour and not a lot of material to crush is definitely a harder hit than what it is in a Cup car. But I was fortunate enough to hit a safer barrier and to have all the extra safety equipment on that IndyCar has put in place and that NASCAR has evolved to. I feel like drivers now are able to withstand bigger wrecks than what our pioneers and the legends of our sport have done before. Our group can challenge what those guys have done in the past, but they deserve bigger credit. The legends such as A.J. Foyt or Mario Andretti, the Gurneys, those big names back in the 60s and 70s. I mean, just this whole adventure here this month of May, I'll finish with this. I'm talking to Mario Andretti, and he's telling me a story about how in 1967, his car was overheating. They continued to fight overheating problems. They put on this panel on the back of the car to extract air from the radiator. And he says, after we put that panel on, the front tires kept lifting up. So then I made these little wickers, and I put it on the front of the car to balance the front back out. That was the discovery of downforce. That was putting wings on cars. And all what he was trying to do was just extract air from the radiator so that the car could run more efficiently. And that's how cars have evolved into downforce. And now that changed the game to go from whatever mile-an-hour range they were in to the next mile-an-hour range. And those guys were all going into foreign territory. I mean, for me, I've had great teammates at Andretti Autosport to look at their notes, to have a team that has solid information to help me graduate as a driver through the different levels. It's been an amazing experience. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get in the Cup car today and to finish this journey on Sunday with a strong 1,100 miles.
Well, Kurt, thanks for coming in, and good luck the rest of the weekend.